Hi, welcome to Crit Couch, and this is our first Sega game.
Sega!
Sega.
Oh, it has veins.
So not only is this our first Sega game, this is going to be a very weird one.
Pulseman. Wait,
do you see who?
Freak?
Yeah. This is a Game Freak
really?
game. Yeah.
Like Pokemon Game Freak?
Yes, 100%. Game Freak made several games that were not Pokemon before. There was a weird Super NES platformer.
No one remembers it now.
Yeah. So we got a little. All right. So we got some weird stuff going on here. This game is technically a fan translated version of the game because this didn't come out in America traditionally. It was only
is that
ever
why we're playing it on the
on the unspoken yeah. So hang on. In 1999, Yoshiyama, a doctor of math and biology, fell in love with an artificial life form whom he created inside a computer. He has a waifu.
Fuck that computer. He just
he waifu'd real hard. A child was born from the union of the couple within computer memory space.
Oh, so he found out how
I don't
to
know
work
if this is like if this is supposed to be digital DNA combining.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is translation errors in the fan translation patch. That is what virtual sex looks like, I guess.
Hell yeah.
This is what
put that thumb drive in.
Oh God. This is the
baby.
This is the baby.
And they didn't give it a name. It's just Pulseman.
Hey, hang on. Look at this guy.
He looks kind of awesome. I'm here for it.
He looks kind of awesome, but it's also like, it's like fucking like Proto Man and Astro Boy. They were like, "Hey, what's up? Hey, what's going on?" They like, oh, hang on. Okay, around that time, a series of interrelated crimes began occurring on a global scale. Galaxy Gang, led by the mysterious Doc Waruyama, was responsible. Doc Waruyama, who's just Dr. Wily coming out of the computer.
You can tell I'm evil because I laugh like this.
So
his head's way bigger than I thought it was about to be.
I want to point out a couple things here. One,
fist bump, bro.
Waruyama and Yoshiyama. Yoshiyama was his dad's name. If you're familiar with Mario and Wario or Luigi and Waluigi, the Wa part, some other person, robot. The Wa part of the name, that's like the bad or negative version of it. Hence, like Wario being the bad Mario. So Dr. Yoshiyama and Waruyama, I wonder who that was that came out. So we have some stages we can select from here at first, 3 of them. Like, let's talk about this little dude here. Because, there's this weird, like, Proto Man and Astro Boy vibe going on. But it's kind of like, they met up one night and they're like, "Hey, man, I really like you. You want to stop by the gas station? Like, let's get, like, a case of Pennzoil 30 and a fucking, a diesel chaser." And they just, like, knock bolts all night. And then, like, this is what happens. Like, Proto Man's just like, "Oh no, I can't do this. I belong to Nintendo. Like, we can't." You gotta call 9 months later. Astro Boy's like, "Proto Man, I have some news." Like, nah, click.
I think he looks cool though.
What's interesting about like this whole vibe is, so we'll select Japan here and kind of play around.
Man, Sega did have some style though.
It 100% has a feel like they were trying to make something that was Mega Man oriented. Now, I have read
even the intro in.
Well, I have read interviews with them talking about the design. They never mentioned Mega Man in their interviews. That doesn't mean that there wasn't an influence. It's hard to look at this and not see an influence from Mega Man. I mean, down to his shape. But I'll also say, at the time, and in general, Japan and its like robot humanoids, like Mega Man didn't set that tone. Astro Boy kind of set that tone.
Yes.
So it's not weird that you see commonalities. I mean, look at Power Rangers and like Super Sentai and stuff like that, or like Kamen Rider. Those all have the kind of helmet spandex.
Kamen Rider movie coming out actually.
Helmet spandex, pieces of armor sort of vibe, right?
He moves a bit like Sonic.
And that's actually what I wanted to talk about next, because in the interviews that I've read with the developers of this, one of the things they were talking about was like, okay, we wanted to create this new kind of platformer that was like a foil for Sonic. Like him colored red is actually, it's actually because Sonic was colored blue. When you double tap the arrow, he does this dash, which charges you up. It gives you a little shot, because normally you just punch or you have a duck kick. Also, when you're charged up, you have this button that like makes you move at an angle. And if you come into contact with
dude, this music is so almost Pokemon.
Yeah. If you come into contact with a surface, you do angular bounces. That was also something that was meant as a foil to Sonic, because Sonic is very straight dashes and then in circular motions because of the way all of the ramps and stuff work. They specifically wanted to, again, foil that so everything is angled and ricochet, which actually, like, I think you also see a little bit of. If there's a series of games called Sparkster where you play like he's like a possum or something. It's called like there's the Rocket Knight and Sparkster.
He found an egg. It's Easter.
So they wanted to make a fast game that like was a match for Sonic. Like that's pretty cool right there, but it's a little bit limited design wise.
This looks super cool to me. Like I love the way this moves. How does it feel?
It actually feels a lot like Sonic in terms of like smoothness. It
looks tighter though.
It is to a degree.
Okay.
I actually don't know if I needed to kill that. I think it is.
You needed to kill the giant floating cat.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
It is tight. Oh God. I have like this fear that some point that's like when I played this the first time that like that was gonna hit like an infinite loop somehow, where like you'd just be stuck.
Like, okay, well, thanks for coming to the Crit Couch. That's our episode.
we are now just bouncing. I think I can actually cancel out of it, so it's not a big deal. So there are no like additional powers a la Mega Man. Everything is pretty much platform and challenge based.
So then I can really see the influence of, to what you were saying, like them trying to create a foil to Sonic, like, because that's when you mentioned Mega Man. It's like I see it a bit in the aesthetics, especially the way he like appeared in. It was like, yeah that's totally Mega Man, but I almost
then
feel
there's
like
this.
I mean, this is just what cocaine does to you.
It's just like some guy was like, what would happen if I just scanned in a page from my electrical engineering textbook and then didn't add any aesthetic to it at all?
Yeah.
This is incidentally, this is supposed to be like we entered into a computer, which is why we're seeing circuitry and stuff in the background.
To finish that thought, because like no, I totally saw the Mega Man stuff until you started moving and like playing the game, and then like all pretense of it being like a Mega Man clone like fell off for me. So I totally see where I see where people are like, were you influenced by Mega Man? It's like, yeah, maybe a bit in the art direction, but like,
gameplay wise,
this
there's
play
nothing
like it at all.
It has. This is also very strange because it's got like there's like secrets, which is also kind of like Sonic, honestly, because Sonic had oftentimes these weird walls where you could like dip into them and like or behind them. But 100% like only vague Mega Man connections. I think it would be easy to initially say that. One of the things I kind of touched on was that this game didn't ever properly release in the United States. So yes, we are playing this with the forbidden technology, and because the only two places that it ever came out in the United States were the Sega Channel, and then it was released on the Wii Virtual Store, which of course that is now defunct. Like you can't, and I didn't have this game on the Wii Virtual Store anyway. I'm not even sure if my Wii works anymore. The system doesn't work. But
we all have working finances. Everything's fine.
There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not having to defend myself. I don't have to defend myself to you. But so
these level number 9 monitors aren't on sale like those other level number 2 monitors.
Yeah. This is also a little weird. It's like I don't know if that guy in the background's just dead.
He's dead as shit. Yeah. We have played so many NES games, Michael, that the fidelity of this game is like I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm just like, everything's so colorful and it moves so fluidly. Like, whoa.
Yeah, today has been because we've done a bunch of Let's Try recordings today.
Yeah,
also,
yeah.
She is dead too.
Yeah.
What's crazy is like the only things that are animated in here are the studio lights. So it's like the studio lighting just descended and killed me too. I can,
Yeah. Now you have joined.
Clearly moving in a downward arc is the bane of everything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we've played a lot of NES today, so this is quite a step up.
I think it's safe to say we played a lot of NES on the channel.
We've actually played more Super Nintendo than NES.
Have we? Okay.
Yeah, and the Super NES games have been longer as well.
What's the more powerful system between Sega, because there was different versions of the Sega too.
No, so they okay, so
there's the Genesis, the Saturn, those.
Well, you would be in terms of like competition, you would be talking about Sega Sega Genesis versus Super Nintendo because like the Sega CD was kind of a desperation move. That Nintendo was also working on a CD add-on as well. There's a whole story with that. But
hey, lady.
There were. I do not remember off the top of my head. I think technically the processor on the Genesis was more powerful, but that doesn't really mean much.
This part of the music right now is a Pokemon battle.
Yeah, I can hear that absolutely. I'll also say that in this era, and I think this is true in many eras, a lot of times like more powerful isn't really as relevant as like what you do with it.
Oh, 100%. It's more just the fluidity of it.
The part of the design of the Genesis was very much focused on like they okay, so here's our boss.
He's just a guy.
We could have just punched him right there, but because we're a child of the digital realm, we aren't going to do that, and we're going to deal with this bullshit.
I was going to say, really going to go play on his field, huh?
Yeah.
This is cool, though.
We just have to be real careful.
Will that, one-shot you?
We only get 3 hits is the problem, and sometimes if you don't dash out of the way of the hand when it does that, it's... see, I'm going to have to redo the stage now. Or this part now. Sega did have some advantages. There is, of course, the infamous blast processing that was wildly misused by an executive to try and make it sound like the system was more powerful than a Super Nintendo, which blast processing was not actually... Like, the executive that decided to use that in its marketing had no idea what it was.
That wouldn't be the first time.
It was actually a graphics gimmick that they used. So, this is going to be real weird to describe. So, TVs have scan lines, right? And the way graphics get displayed on scan lines, fuck me. The way graphics get displayed on televisions is through like every one of those scan lines. Fuck. Trying to talk too much. Every one of those scan lines draws
I was gonna say, focus on
the line of pixels.
Yeah.
basically blast processing allowed more colors than should have been allowed on the screen. By every other scan line on the non-moving stuff, it enabled the system to like use another bank of colors. Okay,
that's such an ass move when it just comes right.
Yeah,
it almost feels like once you hit him, get back in the middle, maybe.
Well, so I need to watch this because
I noticed that happen a couple times after he did damage to you. He would suddenly appear right behind you. Whoa! What is he saying? Flash arrow?
Flash arrow. That's irritating. I will continue.
Next time on Crit
Is it going to make me do the whole level over again?
Maybe not the next time on Crit Couch. You want to do a different level?
Yeah, next time on Crit Couch, we'll do a different level.
Okay.
And I'll talk about the blast processing shit when there's not a boss fight going on.
Yeah, that was my thinking, actually. So, all right, tune in next time to hear about blast processing from the recollection of one Michael.
Yeah, well, I'm not fighting bosses.
Mm-hmm. You might say he gave you a hand job.
I might, but I wouldn't.